Everybody on YouTube, Griffin here, just coming back to you all with another live stream. First and foremost, if you're tuning in for the first time and just wondering who the heck is this guy, my name, of course, is Griffin Thomas. I own specifically a pest control company named Preferred Pest Management in the Dallas, Texas area. We've been in business for, over 3 years now. And on this channel, we don't just talk pest control business only, but that is a big topic here, of course, since that's my main business. That has been the most successful, most taking me to the highest level in terms of prosperity, wealth, even though we're still very early on even in that journey. So we talk everything at the end of the day: business related, finance related, entrepreneurship, if that's what term you like to use. And on these live streams, if you're seeing this after the fact, you'll probably want to subscribe, of course, all that good stuff, so you don't miss the future live streams. We try to go live, at the bare minimum once a week, ideally, sometimes even more. In all honesty, I'd love to go live every single day for you. I've been, over the last few months, trying to find a way to make that happen. Details to come on that, once we get that resolution all figured out. But the whole point of these live streams, of course, is to just have an opportunity for you guys that either you may already have a pest control business that you've launched and you're looking to maybe grow it. Maybe you're, just getting started and wondering, how, can I go about getting customers? All that good stuff. How's it going there, Angel? Yeah, it's been a while. No, all's been good. Hopefully all's been, bless your way as well. Hopefully you're doing well. I actually saw you comment on someone else's video. I forget whose. I forget now. It's been about a month roughly, but I saw you comment on someone else's YouTube channel as well. If I remember right, it was a funny comment actually. You were talking about how, because it was a video, I thought the same thing. Like when I saw your comment, it made me laugh. I forget. It was something in the pest control industry though, but it was funny. Like the thumbnail and the title, like nothing added up to what the video said. I think it was like all AI generated and stuff like that. Like I said, it was a while back, but it was funny because I recognized your name immediately, and I was like, oh, there's Angel there. Let's see what's going on, Freddie. What's up, Griff? Oh, as always, man, loving the content. Oh, I appreciate you. I think we just connected on Indeed too, and sorry it took me a minute to accept your request. I'm not a big or not Indeed, was it? LinkedIn. LinkedIn is what I meant. If I said Indeed, I didn't mean to. I'm still kind of coming around on LinkedIn. How's it going there, Mr. Bryson? I wish I could. Angel said, I wish I could remember. Yeah, it's been a while now. I totally forget the video and whatnot, but you were just kind of like, even what I was thinking. That's what made it so funny. You were like, yeah, this was not, what you said it was at all. You should probably rename this video or something like that. Let's see. Bryson said, just signed a 3-year contract with Field Routes, so it's getting more real with starting my business. Yeah, no, that's what's up. I didn't know Field Routes did contracts and stuff like that too. Apparently, I'm sure you probably got like a better rate or something like that on their services. If I were to be a betting man, but yeah, for anyone that'll be tuning in new, and y'all let me know too. Is this like a good time for you guys in terms of streaming? Because I see we already have like a half a dozen of you in here roughly. Couple likes and whatnot. I appreciate that, by the way. If you haven't already liked, do me a favor, like the stream. It helps, YouTube's algorithm, like send it out. Apparently, when it comes to streams and new videos, all that, like a big indicator on if they're going to keep sending notifications now, even if you turn the bell icon on, is the video or stream, short, whatever the case may be, is it getting, likes, comments, things of that nature. So yeah, maybe not everybody's even known that we've gone live yet. So if you do me a favor, smash the thumbs up button. I appreciate that. And like I was mentioning real quick, and I'll get into y'all's comments as well. For anyone that's tuning in new, these live streams specifically, whenever I post, because a lot of times you'll see a common theme with my lives, I'll post on there specifically a thumbnail that just says like live Q&A, live business Q&A, pest control Q&A, things of that nature. These type of streams specifically are like straight up Q&As. Like I'm pretty much looking at old comments, our Discord comments, Facebook comments, like just everything, and just literally going through answering your all's questions. Sometimes we'll do a live stream where it's still every live stream is Q&A format, but sometimes we'll have an actual quote unquote subject that we're talking about. Like it might be Google Ads, it might be door knocking, it might be bookkeeping, like just the stages of, business ownership that you're going to need to learn. And I'm just speaking like from my experience when it comes to those subjects, just like everything else I post. But ones like tonight, straight up Q&A. So any questions that you all have, don't hesitate to drop it in the chat. I was going to swipe on the screen, but I forget I also have it pulled up on my laptop here, the chat for you guys as well. Let me see, I want to get caught up on some of these chats. Let's see, Angel said, good luck, Bryson. Says, kind of scary because it's like, let me see, because it's like 10 p.m. over 3 years. Oh, 10K, okay. $10,000 over 3 years. Let me run the math on that real quick. That sounds like about $3,400 per year, but I want to get the math right really quick. I've never used Field Routes, by the way. You all know I've used Gorilla Desk since pretty much day one. Let me see. You said around, we'll just say 10,000 divided by 3 years. And is there a payment plan on that, Bryson? So let's see. If there is a payment plan, that'd make it around $277 a month. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm assuming there's some services, some things they're doing for you. I don't know what all Field Routes does. Like I said, I've never used them or anything. It's definitely rich if it's around $275 to $300 a month. Like that's what it comes out to roughly if it's 10 grand over that 3-year term. I know that Field Routes tends to offer some more things as well. But like I said, I don't know enough about them. So yeah, I'm definitely, it's close to 300 a month. Yeah, no, definitely keep us updated, on whether you like it, what services they offer first and foremost. If you got a minute, feel free to type it there in the chat for us. Like I said, me personally, I've never used them. We've been with Gorilla Desk since, our second month in business. I don't even think second month, like the end of our first month in business. Let me see. I want to make sure I didn't miss any of your all stuff here. Yeah, we connect on LinkedIn. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, if y'all want to connect with me on anything, LinkedIn, Discord, we have the Discord group chat that's totally free, of course, to join. We don't charge for any of the groups or anything like that. Super easy to connect. I will say with Facebook, I don't really tend to add anybody. If you look me up on Facebook, well, actually now, like if you look me up on Facebook, you'll see a like official page, if that makes sense, like a Facebook page. And then of course you'll see like my personal profile, and you'll notice my personal profile, there's only like 100 friends. I tend to keep that one like pretty tight knit. I think maybe one of you guys, not playing favorites or anything, are like friends with me, but like don't take it personal. Like if I don't add you, I've got literally hundreds of friend requests on Facebook. There's just so many like scams and things like that I have like a couple other older Facebook accounts, but like my main one that only has like 100 friends or something like that, I just keep that like super tight knit, mostly family, a couple old friends like from school and things like that. But things like LinkedIn and all that stuff, Instagram, wherever. I'm not very active on Instagram, but Instagram, all that stuff, feel free to connect, of course. Speaking of which, if you're not following on TikTok, do me a favor. I feel like I'm promoting the heck out of stuff right now, and we're already like 9 minutes in. But if you're not following on TikTok, do me a favor and follow on TikTok, post stream. Everything's in my LinkTree down below in the description box. It makes it super easy for you don't have to like type a whole bunch of links and all this stuff. It'll take you right to my TikTok page. We're trying to get that to 1,000 followers. That way we can go live like on TikTok, YouTube, all this stuff like at the same time. That way, because like I know everybody's like on different things, different times of day, and it's just easier if we're able to kind of go live across all those platforms and just reach more people ultimately. That's enough of that. Let's see. Field routes is sweet, but I am only familiar with it as a tech. Yeah, that's interesting, Angel. Because I believe now the keyword is I'm saying straight up like this is an assumption of mine. This was 5 years ago now, right? Yeah, wow, crazy. 5 years ago, I believe I used field routes when I worked for a company called Mosquito Joe. Not gonna lie, I did not like it. Assuming that's what it was. Like I said, I'm kind of assuming we did a live stream a long while back where I was kind of describing the app that I was using, and someone was like, "Yeah, that definitely sounds like field routes." And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like it. Now I'll say that Gorilla Desk, because you all know, of course, like I'm not like getting paid one way. I mean, technically, we have an affiliate link for you guys where you get like 2 weeks of their pro version for free. I get like a small little kickback if you all use that link or whatever. Just from perspective, I haven't received a single dime from Gorilla Desk on that, so I literally give you guys just straight up opinion from my personal experience on it. Gorilla Desk, I'm not even like trying to compare the two or anything like that either. Like I'm trying to like stay like neutral and whatnot. Again, just going off of my experience, I have again virtually no experience with field routes. I just hear, even like Bryson said, it's very pricey. Again, I don't know every single thing that they offer in terms of their service, but I know Gorilla Desk for just $99 a month for the pro version is everything and then some that I need. They're adding different features to it every single day. Well, not literally every day, but like every week, it seems there's an update of some kind. So they're who we use. They're definitely the ones that like I can 100% like say like I've had nothing but good experiences. There's no like downtime. That is one thing that I have heard with like field routes, not just field routes, but like all these other ones is lots of downtime in terms of like sometimes half a day, a full day, at least an hour or two, like just at random. Where with Gorilla Desk specifically, I've never had downtime. I think in my 3 years with Gorilla Desk, I'm trying to think if I've ever had any downtime on Gorilla Desk. I think I might have had one morning for 15, 30 minutes. And they were aware of it. They sent a text, an email out like immediately, like they all do, right? We're having issues, this and that and the other. Be patient, please, yada, yada, yada. But other than that, I've never had downtime with Gorilla Desk. And for me, downtime is something that like is a must. Like I don't tolerate downtime. I can't have downtime. Like downtime is money. There was actually a good post in what was it, the Bug Bucks group on Facebook. This was a while back as well. They were talking about, I guess, Field Routes was having downtime issues, and someone asked, it might have been Alan Draper actually, like the main Bug Bucks host of that podcast, who posted, how much money has it cost you all today by field routes being down? Makes me kind of think. He's been asking a lot about different softwares lately. I don't know Alan Draper personally, but he's a very like smart guy and whatnot. Part of me thinks he might be in the works of developing some type of pest control, CRM or something like that. It'll be interesting to see, if they do or anyone does. I'm all about competition, let the best man win at the end of the day when it comes to that type of stuff. Let's see. I'll let you guys know. Awesome, awesome. Field routes is definitely great, but lack more on overall data reporting. Okay. Yeah, Gorilla Desk for a while there was really lacking on the whole data reporting. They've been getting a lot better recently. They just came out with like a new dashboard. I don't know if those of you that use Gorilla Desk have seen that yet. I've been meaning actually to do a video for you guys, like an updated video of like what Gorilla Desk looks like, how it works. I'm still even figuring out some of the new features that they've released recently because I mostly use the app. My wife had been using the desktop more than me recently, but I need to hop in there and take a look around at things and do a video for you guys on that because they've gotten a lot better. Angel said, could have been pest routes that you use. Oh, so there's pest routes and field routes? That's interesting. Let's see, what's going on? DJ Smokey. So at the end of the day, you can, let me see. At the end of the day, you can be in a relationship. Yeah, I'm not going to read that comment out loud. I'm just going to, yeah, I don't know what that was about. Anyways, yeah, I guess we'll just do this. We'll get rid of that real quick. Anyways, yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, Angel. Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, I started to read it out loud, and I was like, wait a minute, let me read in my head for once, because I usually read y'all's comments out loud. That way, for people that may see the video after the fact, sometimes YouTube won't show the chat replay for some reason. So a lot of times when we're doing Q&As, I like to read the question out loud. That way, people that are watching it, I know for a fact they'll hear the question, know what's coming with the answer, all that stuff. But yeah, as soon as I started reading that, I was like, I may want to read this. I may want to proofread this first. Yeah, that he's out of here. Can no longer see the channel. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, Bryson said, yeah, it used to be called pest routes. Now it's field routes. Okay. Okay, so either way, it was the same thing. Okay. Freddie said, I'm switching field routes with Pest Pack. Their mobile app is terrible. Product input doesn't save. It's just not reliable, especially when product recording, yes, product recording is essential. Exactly. Yeah, so let me see. I want to make sure I'm not reading this wrong. I'm switching field routes with Pest. So are you saying then, Freddie, you're switching from field routes to Pest Pack? That's how I'm reading it. You can let me know if I'm wrong. LOL. Someone forgot to wear their respirator. Yeah. That's hilarious. That's a good one. I wish this was like TikTok or is it Facebook or TikTok where you can like laugh at people's comments live and stuff like that. React, like send reactions or whatever. But yeah, while y'all get your questions and all that, if you have any questions, of course, feel free to just drop it there in the chat. Yes, effective January, I'm using Pest Pack. Okay, yeah, definitely let us know how Pest Pack is. I don't hear from as many people that use Pest Pack. It's like a once a blue moon that I'll hear somebody mention. Like, they're usually just people who will reply to other people's like posts on Facebook or like, who do you guys use? They're just like, Pest Pack. Like, they don't say nothing about it. Like, they're very quiet. Like, I'm gonna be mad if secretly Pest Pack is like the best one out there and everybody's just kind of like, little like just scared to share the love with everybody. I'm getting some of our Facebook comments pulled up as well. First one from 2 days ago was from Wilson Does Stuff. He commented on our recent video about Google Ads, like Google ad budget expectations. The title of the video is How Much Money Should You Spend on Google Ads? The answer might surprise you. He commented, sorry about that, still getting over this COVID. He commented and said, $125 per customer. That's insane. How does it make sense? And I did respond to him. I'll read that off first, and then I'll kind of just reiterate that math real quick. I'm I'm going to try to keep it somewhat short and sweet in terms of, the response and, reiterating the math and all that. But what I responded to him was, because it almost sounded like he was almost frustrated with me about it or something. And I couldn't tell if he was like phrasing it as a question or just kind of a statement. So I was like, could you expand on the question a little bit more? And if you're in here, Wilson, feel free to, let me know or whatever. But I said, could you expand on this question more, or is this just more of an opinion? Because at the end of the day, the math is the math, the cost is the cost. Either you pay for the ads, or you knock on doors and/or depend on referrals, or option C, waste your money on trash leads and clicks from other bootleg lead agencies like House, eLocal. It's ones that I've used before, by the way, and so on. And I said even then, their cost per lead is around $20 to $50 or more, and the cost per lead does not equal cost per acquisition, of course. Again, the math is math. It's up to you as the business owner to make the math work and problem solve. And no, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. Like, that's kind of my answer to that question, because even at $125 per customer, if you can get that, that's a very, very good price in terms of customer acquisition. Matter of fact, that is like unusually low for like Google Ads for the pest control industry. And the 125 I was referring to, that was kind of more of like I wouldn't necessarily say a bottom dollar, because of course it fluctuates. I mean, I've had times within Google ad campaigns where, you almost strike gold that first day or two, and you spent like 20 to 30 bucks and you got a customer already. Like, to say that that's going to happen over and over and over with your campaign on Google, or even any or any agent, not agency, but any platform, regardless if it's Facebook, Google Local Services, what's the other one out there? Angie. Regardless of who you're using, like, to expect that you're going to get customers for that $20 to $30, example is just unrealistic. Like, it's not going to happen. Hell, if you can get $20, $30 per lead, sign me up. Like, I'll take $20, $30 per lead all day. That's why I'm still kicking myself, 2+ years in terms of Google Local Services, because had I known that Google Local Services was as cheap as I know that it was, like, hindsight's 2020, like looking back on how much Google Local Services ads was then versus how much it is now, I would have been just like literally just any profit I had, just keep sending me leads, keep sending me leads. Like, I would just be crazy. I mean, I can't believe that, and then to believe that I was starting to squawk even at $35, $40 per lead. Nowadays, I got my limits set now at $80 per lead, and we're not getting that many leads from the Google Local Service. Now, again, to clarify for anyone that's like new and you're wondering, what do you mean by Google Local Service leads? Like, so you have Google Local Service ads, and then you have your standard Google ads. Standard Google ads, that's what's like where you're popping up in the search, you want to pop up at the top, all that stuff. Google Local Services, of course, is what's at the very top. If you go and type in, say, pest control near me, plumber near me, all these different type of services, even like lawyers and things now are on Google Local Services. Any type of service you type in, near me or a certain town, things of that nature, there's going to be a list of usually 2 to 4 companies, 2 to 3 primarily, that are going to pop up. It's just like ads, but it's Google Guarantee. And what makes Google Guarantee more attractive than Google Ads for the customer is Google Guarantee. Google will actually refund a customer up to a certain amount. I think it's like $2,000 a year or something like that, based on, if the work is done wrong, if they damage your home, whatever the case may be. So it gives the customer a good sense of, oh wow, like, I'm going to for sure begin a good company. Google even runs background checks and all that to become a Google guarantee provider. So, just wanted to, I always like to clarify that because I know, like, when I first got started, I didn't even know Google Local Services existed for like my first probably week or two in business. And then, like, I kind of seen when I started typing in, pest control near me, just checking our rankings and things like that, before I knew about Local Falcon and all that stuff. I noticed there was that little check mark part popping up, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" I was like, "This isn't." I was like, "This is like Google Ads, but it's not Google Ads." And after doing some research, Google Local Services had only been up for like a year at that point, and the leads were so cheap. I mean, my God, they were cheap. And like I said, nowadays, I mean, you're looking at. I saw a recent study came out. It said Google local service leads can vary from anywhere between $5 to $230 based on. And I was like, wow, what a range, right? Just crazy. Let me go back. I think we've had some chats pop up here. Freddie said, "Got to spend money to make money." That's right. That's right. Yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna come back to your comment in a sec because yeah, that's a good point. How's it going? Tropical Fruit Loops. I'm getting beat by the mice. I got a few jobs where mice are coming in through the attic, eating tons and tons of bait, and still persisting. And the exclusion is on a steep roof. Ah, that's the worst. Yeah, those steep roofs ain't no joke. Main reason that I was hiring that stuff out. And I forget, Tropical Fruit Loops. Remind me again, were you the one that's in California? Or are you in the like Pacific Northwest, like Oregon and whatnot? I know we got so many of you all over the country that I lose track sometimes. But usually, what I would do first, if you're worried about, are you going to be able to do the exclusion? You didn't say nothing about traps. I'm going to assume that you're setting traps as well. It's gonna sound crazy. I would double up on everything. If you're using like 3 to 6 traps right now, use 6 to 12. If you're, say you got, I'm just talking purely bait blocks. I'm not talking stations or anything. Say you're using about 2 dozen blocks, go to 4 dozen blocks. Like, sometimes you just gotta go nuclear on them. Let's see. Ontario, that's right. Canada, yeah. We get a very tough mousy. Yeah, because the cold, I can imagine. Bryson said I'm Morgan. Yeah, that's right, that's right. And you have like a cousin or something that'll hop in from time to time too, right, Bryson? Let's see, Ontario. Yeah, I mean, and isn't Canada, by the way, getting more strict, tropical Fruit Loops with their like the chemicals that you can use on rodents and things like that. Facebook ads suck, not many real. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I actually need to do an update for you guys about the whole Facebook thing. Tried it out. I gave them an honest try, and nothing against the company or anything. They actually did good. I mean, they did better than what even I was doing on my own, but like you said, just not very many qualified leads at the end of the day. Let's see where else. So I'm using everything. Angie, Network, Bark. Yeah, Bark was another one. Bark, House with a Z at the end. LSA, SEO, Facebook. Yeah, no, I mean yeah, Freddie, you're doing a lot of like what I'm doing essentially. Just not necessarily diversifying. I hate when people use the word diversify. But more so trying things out and then just finding out what works best in your market and then going with it. Because that's another thing too, guys, that I can't stress enough. When it comes to, these lead agencies or advertising platforms that you can go with, Google ads, Google local service ads, Facebook ads, Twitter ads, TikTok ads. Like, there's so many platforms you can pick for Angie, all that. There's so many platforms that you can pick from that it's not a bad idea when you're first getting started to just kind of get your feet wet in each one. I'm not saying go all in, spend thousands of dollars on each one, do it all at the same time. Do what obviously your budget can allow for. That's what I did early on. Like I just did what my budget could allow for because that's all you can do to begin with. And I would try one out, see how it went, and then if it didn't work, okay, you're gonna move a lot quicker. Some people would say this is bad advice. I don't care. I'm just, again, speaking from my experience, what I did and what works for me. And I'm going to explain why I say do it this way. Because, like we said, one, your money is already limited. So time is not really on your side. So my rule of thumb was I'm going to do X amount a day for a week or even 2 weeks in some cases. Again, it's going to vary on your budget. But 1 to 2 weeks. If it didn't work, burn it, go to the next one. Do that again. Didn't work, burn it, go to the next one. Just keep doing that. And by the way, keep track of, okay, what was our CTR? What was our cost per lead? What was our cost per acquisition? Did we even get any leads or acquisitions? Like, keep track of everything for each one. And then once you go through that little experiment, that's going to take you, my God, if you go through enough of them, a year in some cases. But generally speaking, 3 to 6 months, if you're doing it, day by day, week by week, etc., you'll come to a conclusion of 1 to 3 of them that you're like, okay, these seem to be the most promising. You can narrow it down, right? And then from there, you can either again, depending on your budget, just split your budget amongst them 2 to 3, or go all in on one, give it a little bit longer. This is where you're going to want to give it more time to, come to true flourishing. I think I just pronounced that word totally wrong. You're going to want to let that, transpire into some actual results, because this is where I'm circling back to, the fact that most people say it's bad advice. You got to give ads more than a week or two. This is true. You do need to give ads more than a week or two. And once you narrow it down to just a few of them, now you got more time, because you're not trying, 6 to 12 or however many different platforms. You now got it narrowed down to a couple of them or a few of them maybe. And now you can say, okay, I'm going to dedicate 1 to 3 months to this one. I'm going to dedicate 1 to 3 months to that one. And then within, 3 to 9 months now, depending on, how long you decide to do it, now you got some true data. And then from there, if you want to go with just one, you can go with just one. Or if it's two, maybe you want to go with all three. That's the thing, is there's no cookie. That's what I hate about some entrepreneurs or gurus that like get on here. Not on here like as in just on YouTube, but like all over the internet, is they try to make everything so damn cookie cutter. And it's just not. Like, everything's going to be different based on your area. Everything's going to be different based on the climate in your area. That's why I just say area is a blanket statement, because there's so many things within each individual area of the country, of the world even, because I know we have people in the UK that watch. We have people in even Africa that watch the channel, in Australia as well, just to name a few. Like, there's going to be so many variables that go into it based on your area. How long is X season in your area? For pest control, for example, what is the swarm season? Like, how long is it? How long is the warm season in your area? What's the economy like in your area? Us in the US, we could say, oh, the economy sucks. But guess what? The economy might suck in an area like California more than it does in, say, Florida or Texas. Not to throw any shots, not to, throw darts or anything like that. But I think you guys kind of get my point on that. Like, there's so many variables that go into it. Like, to try to give some just advice as if it's just straight up cookie cutter, it's ridiculous. And it's condescending on top of that. Like, that's why I always just say, I always try to preface everything with from my experience, in my area. Like, that way if it doesn't work, y'all ain't coming at me, oh, this is bullshit. He don't know what he's talking about, blah, blah, blah. Because, like, I'm just telling you guys, like, from my own experience, what's working, what's not. that kind of thing. And that's what worked for us. And I think that's kind of what Freddie was referring to, saying, been using everything: Angie's, Bark, Networks, LSA, SEO. Which SEO, of course, is a thing of its own. You always want to be working on the website and all that stuff. Your local SEO, all that type of stuff as well. But yeah, yeah. Angel said, "Have to get going, Griff. Y'all have a great night." Yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate y'all. Appreciate you tuning in, Angel. Let's see. I feel like I'm missing some of your all's comments. Do you have an easy solution? Easy and solution do not coexist. I'm just kidding, but it feels that way a lot of times. Do you have an easy solution, or should I just say, oh, you're talking about, sorry about that. I totally forgot about the whole rodent thing that you're dealing with, tropical fruit loops. Do you have an easy solution, or should I just set customer expectations and yeah, I mean, there's that side of it too. Like there's only like, you want to reiterate the customer one that obviously like what you're doing, right? But at the same time, walk them like, I always like to set expectations. I always tell them I'm going to set expectations for you up front that you know more than likely won't even apply to your situation. But I'll tell them about some horror story, and then I'll say, and I want to set expectations based on assuming that your situation is the worst I ever seen. That way, I'm under promising, and then the goal, of course, is over delivering, right? Now, you're already in with this, so it may be too late to go ahead and do that. But, yeah, I mean, this, assuming that you didn't really get to do that, it's going to be a learning experience. Might have a somewhat dissatisfied customer. I've been there. By the way. I mean, I'm speaking literally from experience. I've been there. I mean, it still happened. I mean, even when what's funny is even when you do tell them like, hey, I'm gonna give you expectations based on assuming you're the worst, there will still be many of them that it goes in one ear, out the other. They're just, all they're thinking is, you're here to solve my problem. Like, which is true. I mean, that's true. But at the same time, we're not miracle workers, right? Like, we're not Jesus Christ. Like, there's only one miracle worker at the end of the day. Now, sometimes we do stuff where we're like, man, that was a miracle. But, we're not in the business of miracles at the end of the day. So, all you can do is set, when you're talking about the whole expectations thing, is, set them as harsh as you can. Don't scare them into like not even want to use you or anything, but just set it up as real deal. Sometimes you even gotta almost hurt people's feelings, especially when it comes to things like rodents, German roaches, things of that nature. Like sometimes you gotta tell them like, dude, rodents is one of the big ones. Like sometimes I gotta go in and tell people like, hey, when did you start hearing these noises? Oh, I just been hearing them a couple weeks. Sometimes I gotta look at them and be like, just a couple weeks, huh? I'm like, that's crazy because, man, you need all new insulation, to be honest. I'm like, and that doesn't happen in a couple weeks. But, just trying to get an idea because, the more upfront you are with me, the more upfront I can be with you. And that makes my job easier in terms of creating a plan to get this taken care of for you. So sometimes you got to almost risk it for the biscuit in terms of, almost got to be willing to offend people a little bit as nicely as possible. But, we got to have all the details. Otherwise, we can't solve your problem. That's what I tell them. Let's see. I saw you followed up that comment too. British Columbia banned rodenticide. My goodness. But it's basically just to appease the public. Businesses and homeowners have an exemption and can get bait. My goodness, y'all got a shit show going on up there in Canada politically. Well, the U.S. ain't got much room to talk, do we? Let's see. Every year it's something new. We had Japanese beetles one year, gypsy moths one year, heavy mosquito. So, yeah, I noticed that down here too. Every year there's some kind of just thing, like the bug of the year, pest of the year, that kind of thing. Facts. Yeah. Freddie said, originate so you can delegate, so you can elevate. Smaller companies are in positions where we can continue to try things and see what works. Exactly. And I mean, it always kind of cracks me up when the bigger companies, how do I explain what I'm trying to say? When the bigger companies are like just refusing to change. Like a lot of times they'll cause them to go out of business. Toys R Us, well, we could go down the list of all the companies that have come and gone over the years just by refusing to stay with the times. Bed Bath and Beyond, right? Wasn't it Bed Bath and Beyond just went out of business recently? I believe so. But just a lot. I mean, businesses, big businesses, hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars, billion-dollar businesses, publicly traded businesses. They come and go because they're unwilling to not just stay with the times, or get with the times, but their refusal to try new things out. Like, it just makes no sense to me. Like, you guys do millions or even billions of dollars a year in revenue, and you're not willing to like take a risk on a new thing like Facebook. Back when Facebook was first, super cheap, super cheap in terms of advertising. Back when like Google Local Services, for example, was brand new. Google Local Service, the moment Google Local Services got expensive, when Terminex got on, when Orkin got on. I don't even know if Orkin's on, actually. I don't want to, I'm going to fact check myself. Let me see, pest control near me. My point is when the big companies got on, that's when Google Local Services got expensive. Why is that? They got the ad money, right? But it took them almost 2 to 3 years before they finally were like, hey, we might want to pay attention to this. Like, I don't understand the hesitancy behind trying new things out when it comes to these big companies that obviously have the money. It's always kind of baffled me, to be honest. Let me see. I want to make sure I didn't miss any. Oh, yeah. We were talking about gotta spend money to make money, like when it comes to Google Ads. Yeah, I mean, going back to the comment here that Wilson Does Stuff said, like $125 per customer. Said that's insane. How does it make sense? And I could have went on and on that reply, like broke down the math to him on how it makes sense, but I didn't because I kind of outlined it in the video, right? And like I said, $125 per acquisition, by the way, in the pest control industry. If Google came to me and said right now, hey, we can guarantee you for the next year that you will get 10 new clients per week, $125 per customer, do you got a deal? I'd be like, say less. Like, where do I sign? Like, can I sign that deal for 2 years? Like, can I get a 2-year deal on that? Because, like, man, $125. Let's break down the math. I would do the whiteboard, but I got my corded, mic and headphones in for y'all, trying to make the audio a little bit better, hopefully. So I'm just gonna like break it down on the laptop, and y'all can kind of follow along. $125 per, like, that. This is the problem, is like people don't think, and I don't mean this like, I'm not like trying to call this person that commented it like dumb or anything. Like, I'm not trying to offend or like be mean or anything like that. It's just when you're looking at starting a business, and a lot of you already have a business too, like, you got to think this shit through, guys. Like, I mean, a lot of it is common sense. And like I said, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, whenever I was paying $15 to $25 per lead on Google Local Services, I was spoiled. Like, that was the very first thing that I knew. I hadn't had much experience with Google Ads. I did a very, very short one right before learning about Google Local Services that got us our first customer at the time. But I didn't know, like Google Local Services was the first thing that I knew. So I was ignorant to it. Like I had no idea what to truly expect for cost per acquisition, how to make it make sense, and all that. So I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to be rude, not trying to be mean, anything like that. Like I'm just gonna assume that you, this person that commented that, is just ignorant to this and truly needs it broken down. So that's what I'm gonna do right here. So if you're paying, say, 125 per acquisition, which again is not bad whatsoever. If anything, it's a little low. But $125 per acquisition, just to give you an idea, if you're running an ad like what we are running right now, which is get your first service for $67 whenever you pay for the full year up front. So what do we mean by this? The first service is $67. The average rate for a customer is going to be $39 a month going forward for the quarterly service. So how we break that math down is $39 over 11 months. That comes out to $429. And then why is it 11 months instead of 12? Because that's where the 67 comes in. The 67 is that first payment. And I'll show you a way you guys can make it even cheaper where you're still making money if you want to make it a little bit cheaper. But give me just a second just to get through this example. So in this example, it's 490 or not 496 or yeah 496 plus tax. We're not even gonna factor in tax because we don't get that money anyways. $496 per year. So our average in terms of what we like to call cost per service is $50 is what we like to factor. I've done math in the past and it could be 35, 40, but I always like to assume worst case scenario, highest cost on chemical, higher wear and tear on vehicles and equipment and paying techs well and giving them good benefits, all that type of stuff. I always like to factor in pretty high costs, callbacks, things of that nature, right? So $50 times 4 services in a year, that's $200, right? So you take 200 right off the top. You're down to 296 now. And then you take your customer acquisition costs, $125. And again, this is just first year, keep in mind. We'll go over, the longer term ramifications going forward in terms of how much money you're going to get out of that $125 acquisition. So you're now down to $171 of profit for the year for that customer. Hey, guess what that is? That's over 100% return on your money. Let me backtrack. It's not technically 100% return on your money, but you got your investment back, your $125 plus you're about $46 in true profit. So you're actually only around about a 40% roughly. 40, about 40% profit on that $125 for your first year. And again, this is assuming a $50 per service, $200 a year to service this account. A lot of you guys, let me know in the chat, do you think it really takes $200 to service your account? Especially as a one-man show, which I know most of you guys are. As a one-man show, do you think it takes $200 per year to service an account? I would say no. I would say probably $100, if I'm being honest. $100. If you route things right, you keep your callbacks low, you are mindful of your chemical costs and all that, I don't really see it being more than $100 a year. So, I mean, you instantly up that to $271. But, like I said, I want to assume that, I'm thinking ahead. I'm not just thinking of what's it costing me as a one-man show. I'm thinking about all the employee costs, right? I want my employees to be paid well. I want to give them benefits, all this stuff. To do that, it takes money, obviously. So I do think $200 is great. It is good for the yearly cost to service an account, assuming the employee costs and whatnot. My average, yeah. You saying the 200 is your average, Freddie, or the 100? Just type 100 or 200, just to clarify for me. But back to this example here for Wilson Does Stuff. So, like we said, your 125 that you put in, you got 171 out for that first year. You're probably thinking right now, that sucks. Okay. Like, I mean, whatever. Then don't do it. But let me show you what you're going to be missing out on. After that first year, right? Let's say you don't even raise the price on them. You know, $39 over 12 months. That's $468. Matter of fact, what I would do personally is just go ahead and keep it at $496 because I don't want it to look like a price decrease or anything like that. So $496 again. And that's actually how I do it because, yeah, I remember working that math out before and I was like, wait a minute, they're getting a price decrease when if anything, the price should be increasing. But yeah, keep it at $496. Again, take away your $200 a year for all your expenses. You're now at $296 a year. So the average customer, based on research that I've done, and even from my own experience, you know, from my experience, I've been in business just over 3 years now. My average recurring account, like my average recurring customer, sticks with me, you know, 2.5 to 2.75 years. It's like 2.68 or something like that years, which is pretty dang good for a company that's only been around for 3 years. But with that being said, along with other data that I've seen in terms of what to expect, the average quote unquote life expectancy in terms of like them being your customer life expectancy is between 10 to 13 years, which is pretty good. So, you know, let's just say 10 years that they're a customer, you're missing out on about $3,000 of profit over that customer, plus your, what was it, 171 or whatever. So you turned $125 into at least 31 to 3,200, and this assumes never raising the price. On top of that, now of course it also doesn't assume you know what little inflation and things like that, of course, but you know not assuming any price increases, expenses you know going up as well, things like that. You're looking at a very, very, very good profit. I mean, divide that by 125. 25x. Where else are you going to go and get 25x on your money over 10 years? You see what I mean? And I mean, again, this is just a standard general pest control example. $500 a year account. This isn't $700 a year account, $1,200 a year account, $2,000 a year account. Just a standard little $500 account. Nothing crazy. Let's see. My average recurring service is My average recurring service is 700, not including initial. But everything in New York is expensive. Overhead costs like 157 hourly with one tech, less with two, and like 57 with three techs. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, man, I know New York. Whew. New York. And 700, I'm assuming you're talking about like the just general pest control as well. Which, I mean, again, like the numbers can change very quick depending on, you know, what is your average cost per what is your average sell in terms of, you know, your score, like what you're getting. I mean, let's say, you know, if you're like us, our average is right around 700, you know, 700, you know, $700 minus the 125 minus 200. That first year, you're at 375 of profit. That's after the cost of the lead. So then from there, 700 minus 200 times 10 years plus 375. $5,375 of profit over 10 years. Divided by your investment, your $125, 43x. I mean, like I said, I mean that, and that's why I said, like, I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, the math is the math. Like, I can't. If you just aren't willing to spend the money, that's one thing. Like, I mean, it's okay. Like, if you're fine with growing organically just through your local SEO, referrals, going to events, shaking hands, knocking on doors, the old school way, that's fine. I'm not saying that, by the way, that has its place too. I'm not saying that you should be doing just Google ads or just Facebook ads or just, whatever advertising platform you're using. But if you want to truly take your business to the next level, stack up accounts on accounts on accounts month after month versus just sporadically, you gotta advertise. You got to. It just is what it is. Like I said, the math is the math at the end of the day. And that's why, we're running ours. In all honesty, I should probably be upping my budget. I have ours set at $100 a day on Google Ads. We haven't even came close to hitting that $100 a day, but we do have it set at $100 per day. Be interested to see what happens. I bag about 500 a day, door knocking 3 months in. Man, that's what's up. Got to get ads to get more recurring. Exactly. What pest coverage do you include in your services for residential? And do you favor monthly or quarterly? Favor quarterly? For the most part, I should say. Like, I favor quarterly for sure. What I love about quarterly is the scalability of it, of course. Like, I was breaking the math down to my grandfather, who's owned a pest control business for, God, 30, 40 years now. Because he does monthly only. He's done monthly only forever. Just refuses to change. And I was just breaking, it doesn't even matter. He doesn't even care about the math even. And I'll get into your part about the coverage and whatnot as well here in a second. I'm just a math nerd, so I was like breaking down these numbers. I was just like, dude, you're getting, because he also undercharges because he hates raising prices on people. He's only getting like 40 a month or something like that. Crazy, right? But I was like, dude, like on a max route, $40, let's say you're doing 12 customers a day, which he's not. 12 customers a day, that's $480 a day. That's your max. You do that 22 working days a month, that's only $10,500 a month. I mean, it's, I don't even want to say it's good because it's not, because that doesn't factor in all of your expenses. Of course, the good thing is no callbacks or anything like that because you're literally out there every 3 to 5 weeks. But, taxes, other expenses, all that stuff. Like, it's just not good where, the same technician who's running quarterly is now getting 120 per service, running 12 stops a day. That's 1440. Multiply that over a 22-day working month, $31,680. Multiply that out over 12 months, $380,000 a year and some change. Where the other guy is only able to do about $121,000 a year. So, I mean, it's just... And again, you got to think about, what's going to be able to pay your employees the best. Now, obviously, that's just the math I was breaking down to him because, how do I say? Because of the fact that he was only charging roughly $40 a month. But even if a guy is charging, say, $60 a month, right? 60 times 12 times 22, it's about 15,000 a month. Or no, actually about 16. It's about 15,800 a month times 12. It's $190,000 a year, right? Not bad. Not bad at all, But how are you going to scale that? Right? How are you going to afford to pay an employee a good salary? Because rule of thumb, right, is their salary alone is going to be about 25%. So 25% of that is what? 47,500. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great either for the pest control industry. But let's knock that off of, let's see, 190 minus, we'll just say 48,000. You're down to 142. Oh my gosh, taxes, payroll tax, all your other taxes, sales tax, any tax that you may have, let's just go ahead and knock off another 50% easily. Now you're down to 71, right? Yeah, 71,000 is what you're down to. We haven't even gotten into employee benefits yet, right? Employee benefits, that's going to be thousands of dollars a year. Let's just lowball it and say 10,000. you know, 61, pretty much $50 to $60,000 by the time. Oh no, hey, we haven't even factored in all the other business expenses, chemical, wear and tear on vehicles, oil changes and stuff like that, needing to get new equipment or fix equipment. Man, my God, like this just keeps going down. Let's see, all that is probably around 10%. So 10% of 190 was what, 19,000 roughly? So knock off another 19K. You're now down to about $40,000. $40,000 you're going to walk away with per route. Compare that to that other guy. Again, 120 times 12 times 22 times 12 again. 380,000. If we're going to pay technician around 25% roughly, it's 95,000 a year. Where'd you rather go? 47, 48,000, 95,000. Where are you going? Where the hell do you think I'm going? I'm going 95,000. And who do you think is going to put in better work? Guys making 47, guys making 95. Come on now. Come on now. I mean, the whole, the mission and the goal and all that, that's only going to get you so far. Money talks at the end of the day. But let's see, 95, so 380, we'll just round down to 380. Just 380 and change. Minus 95,000. Down to 285. We'll knock off chemical first before I forget, like chemical and other miscellaneous costs. So that's what, about 38,000. $38,000. Let's see, what else? What else we got? Oh, tax. Yeah, 50%. 50% of the... That's going to be what? About 142, roughly. Yeah, minus 142K. Which ideally, of course, you'll get that tax bill down. But again, we're just running rough numbers here. Just the difference between the monthly versus quarterly deal. Let's see, was there anything else? Benefits and stuff, of course. Take off another 10K for that. So now we are down to just under $100,000. So over double. It's over double the difference. Barely, just a little bit over double. Not like a crazy amount, like about a double and change. But that is a huge difference that cannot be just slept on. Like it's a big deal. Even if it was only 1.5x, I mean that's still a huge difference. Especially if you go to sell. Oh my gosh, I mean, what company do you think is going to be worth more? One that's profiting 40,000 per route, or one that's profiting 90 to 100,000 per route? Like, come on now. I mean, let's keep doing that math. You got a route that's doing, what was it, 42, I think, 42,000. 42,000 in profit. Let's say you have 10 technicians, which the average company that sells, if I recall, usually has about seven to 10 techs. 10 technicians, that's 420K a profit per year. I'm using profit loosely, but 420,000, where that company that's running 95K, per technician is almost at $1 million a year of profit. Like, can you imagine how massively different those evaluations are going to be? Because it's not just because I know what some people will think, oh, well, if it's just going to be 3x, then, you're still just pretty much 10x the difference. No, it's not that simple. It's not, I mean, there's a lot of numbers that go into it, but it's a known fact that these companies that they have more customers, they make more money per route profit, they oftentimes get a higher multiplier than the company that, just doesn't have all of that. A considerable amount on top of that. So, quarterly for me. Bag about, oh yeah, I already read that comment. I'm just making sure I'm not missing. Let me go into the comments on my computer, actually. Making sure I'm not missing nothing. 3 texts. Yeah, I read that. Include your overhead cost in your pricing so you don't lose money. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, and that's where a lot of, I mean, these smaller guy, one man show companies keep the industry too cheap is because it's gonna sound rude what I'm about to say, but they're just worried about paying their bills that are coming up, buying a case of Bud Light or whatever the hell they drink, fucking their cigarettes or whatever their little habits are, their Chick-fil-A, whatever the case may be, and move on. Like, pretty sure I just had a tonsil stone come out. I've never had that happen before. Yeah, I mean, I wish, in all honesty, I wish that every one man show wanted to be more than a one man show. Because even if they didn't become more than a one man show, they would at least understand, like, oh wow, this is why I need to price my services higher. Like, there's no reason for guys to be doing even monthly services. Like, if you want to go the monthly service route, you can make that work. You can scale that. Yes, you're not going to be able to pay technicians and stuff as much, but you can still scale it at the end of the day. And there's no reason that a single company is, solo operators, whatever the case may be, is doing any stop for less than $60. I mean, in all honesty, probably 95. If we're gonna be complete. Now again, these numbers are gonna vary based on your area. Like Freddie was talking about with New York, like New York, California, like these crazy areas where things are just like damn near double what they are everywhere else. But here in America, I always, like to joke with Californians and New York people about, there's New York and California and then there's America. But, for most of us, there's no reason for a service to be less than $95. I'm talking from like a monthly side of it. But even on the quarterly, I still see companies to this day, they're running out there doing a quarterly service for $60. I'm like, even if you have no guarantee, there's no reason that shit ain't at least $95. Like, on no planet should it be less than $95, period. For me, it's 105. Like, that's my minimum. Like, the lowest I'm going now is 105, per quarter or whatever. That's the minimum now. Very few people get that rate anymore. Most people, it's like 39 on up. Occasionally, I can just tell it's someone that's super nice, laid back, just don't want to see any issues. Super small house, like 1,300 square foot or less, usually. Sometimes a condo, or not condo, townhome. Things where it's going to be like 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes a stop. Easy stuff. Like that, I don't mind pricing low, $100, $105 a quarter. But everything else, like there's no reason for it to be like 120 on up. And again, it's not so many people, mostly again, ignorant people, so many people will just be like, oh, that's just greedy. That's just greed. Damn you, capitalism. Like, no, we got to make money. If we don't make money, we can't pay employees good money. If employees can't get paid good money, how are they going to pay for all the shit they need to pay for? Like, do you see how this cycle works? Like, there's a reason why, I don't want to go off on a rant here, but like, there's a reason why the country is where it is right now. Like, I'll just leave it at that. I ain't going to go on a whole rant about it, but yeah. Anyways, let's see. My last big corporate employer served 90% commercial monthly. Yeah, and commercial is a totally different ball game too. I will say that. Like I was referring to residential. I should have prefaced with saying that. Those contracts have low margin, but they can scale. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're spot on. Tropical Fruit Loops. Like, yes, my monthly accounts for commercial work, well, they're actually not cheap. My average commercial account pays same thing, $95 a service. Some are paying that bi-weekly because, I go in there and I tell them, I'm like, they tell me the same story every time. Ooh, you're not cheap. And I'm like, no, I'm not, because you're not going to get a cheap result. Like, you want cheap? Go back with who you were using. Oh, they weren't working good. Oh, I know. That's why you called me. Like, it's not being cocky or anything. Like, be proud of your service. Be proud, and that's not just for pest control. That's any service, any product. Like, be proud. If you're not proud of what you're selling, you're not gonna be able to stick with it. I mean, and there's days that I wake up and I got to convince myself. I'm like, man, like, am I really confident in what I'm selling? Like, hell yeah, I am. We provide the best service. We only use the best products. We use them at the max rate possible to get the best results for you, and with the best customer service to put cherry on top of that sundae. So, be proud of your service. Don't be willing to try to get into a price war with anybody, because are you gonna miss out, quote unquote, on a lot of things because of that? Sure. But me personally, I want to grow the right way. I don't want to grow just for the sake of growing. Like, in all honesty, my company, not including all the stuff that not including like all the stuff that, like, oh, if I knew what I knew now back then, blah, 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 like, just leave all that stuff out. Just based solely on leads alone. Like, leads that I've gone to quote, this and that, if I was willing to go down on price, essentially. If I was willing to go down on price, my company would be 3 to 5x the size that it is right now. Real talk. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I mean, I've got 300 customers in my list right now that are inactive customers from either they canceled after the price increase, or they, instead of going with a continual service, went with a one-time service because they didn't like the price of the continual service. And by the way, a lot of them end up coming back for another one-time service. So in ways they are continual, but they're only paying like $200 a year because they're only paying like once a year for one service versus, you know, paying what the 5 to 700 or whatever the hell I quoted them on. And again, that's just my customer inactives. That doesn't include, you know, all the leads. That's why I say easily 3 to 5x. I've only got like what? Let me pull up my Gorilla desk real quick for you all. Probably gonna take a minute to load. I know I have way more inactive customers than I have, you know, active recurring customers. So, oh, it's actually not as big of a difference as I thought. So, yeah, I mean, I don't even have, yeah, this is going to blow your all's mind. Like, I know a lot of y'all probably think I'm so much bigger than I actually am. Just because, like, you know, the whole, oh, I'm doing 6 figures, like, whatever. Customers with a service, you know, active recurring services, 282. Customers without a service, 329. 40 impending, like leads and stuff like that with estimates sent out. 14 bounced emails recently. This is getting into like some of my email marketing analytics now, but yeah, I mean, I won. Like I said, I'm still not even where we want to be, obviously, but it just goes to show, like I said, we could literally be at the minimum. You turn all those without a services who just signed up for things like one-time services, canceled after the price increase, this and that. You give them what they want, just from the customers inactive alone, we're over double our size right now. And then you add all the leads on top of that didn't fall through because of pricing specifically, we're easily triple to, you know, 3 to 5x. Like, I'm not playing when I say that. So, you know, if I was willing to be like an active, oops, called them out, is what it is. They're that type of company. If I was willing to be that type of company where, oh, I'm not going to let pricing, you know, get in the way, pretty much name your price, right? It could be so much bigger than what we are. But the other thing is I want the customers that see the value in the service. Because if they don't value the service, they don't value you. They don't value you, they're not going to value your employee. If your employee senses that the customer doesn't value them and that they don't value you, do you see where I'm going? You just start to slowly crumble. That's what's happening with a lot of the big guys right now. Let me see. That's it. Fair pricing equals hard work. Exactly. Low price gets you bad trouble clients. Couldn't word it better. Many of my good clients don't even ask price. They trust me and pay me whatever I ask. That's a good point, man. That's a beautiful comment right there. Because that brings up a good point that I actually been meaning to bring up for a while now. Tropical Fruit Loops, which is a good idea, like a good habit to start doing immediately. For those of you that like me get a lot of leads over the phone through forms being submitted, text, you know, not so much in person, right? Is and I was so against this the first 2 to 3 years in business, but I've really started to come on to it recently. Schedule that free inspection. It sounds crazy. I hate the word free anything. But every time I've been kind of sprinkling it in here and there. Just did one on the Google ad lead that we had come in from our Google ad, which actually we just got another lead from our, I keep going like something's over here. My phone is right here. There's nothing here in terms of the leads, but we actually just got another lead from our Google ad today about rats. I don't feel too good about it, but we'll see what happens. But my whole point is like that one I just went out to recently from the Google ad that we're running. They had just moved into the house. They needed something ASAP. We had to. I just told her, I was like, hey, you free tomorrow? Yeah, yeah. We just moved in. We're still unpacking. Come on over. I was like, cool. Yeah, I'll come over, take a look at everything, see how everything looks, give you your options, and we'll go from there. Went out there, gave her price. Let's do it. Like, can you do it right now? Yeah. And you'd be surprised how often that will happen whenever you do the free inspection. Because, like I said, I was so anti free inspection. I was like, I'm not giving shit away for free. As soon as I step out of the truck, $75 minimum. Now it's 95, right? But when you try to just sell over the one thing, like I said, it's been kind of an awakening for me. One thing I noticed is like when you sell on the phone, solely sell on the phone, like for someone that's just strictly pricing around, those leads don't really convert. I mean, they convert, don't get me wrong. Like, there's a lot of them that, it's just almost name your price. Like, I think Tropical Fruit Loops mentioned maybe. Like, yeah, they trust me and they pay me whatever price I ask. Exactly. Like, there's plenty of those that do happen on the phone, but I feel like whenever you schedule that, if you can get them to schedule the inspection, I'm not going to say 100 out of 100 because obviously that's not the case, but more than 50% of the time, they're going to go ahead and go with you, especially if you can go ahead and do the service right there on the spot. Now, of course, there's some things that you just can't, right? Maybe. I mean, sometimes you can make everything happen, but for the most part, there's some things like exclusion services, maybe a liquid termite treatment, things of that nature where, you just got to schedule for another day. And then even in those cases, those are bigger jobs. They're probably going to be getting another quote or two anyways. But in terms of like general pest control, standard rodent control, commercial work, things of that nature, a lot of times you go in there and price it right there and you're like, you want to get started right now? Oh, yeah, you can do it now. Yeah, let's go and do it. Because then you're putting the ball in their court when you're like, hey, like, by the way, like, if you want to go ahead and do this, I got the stuff. Like, you want to go ahead and do this? Like, you're pretty much forcing them to come out and say no. Because what's easier? What's easier to say, well, getting another quote, blah, 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 making up bullshit, right? Making up excuses for as to why they can't commit to you versus you forcing them to say no. People don't like to say no. People hate confrontation. They hate to say no. So if you have the ability to tell them right there on the spot, I got the stuff, let's go ahead and do this. You want to do this? The odds of them turning you away are going to go down tremendously. So, not to mention, the more time that you give them to search around, price around, you think they're not going to do it? Like a lot of times I'll even have people when I do this ask me, they'll be like, I mean, when can you start? Like, can you do it today? And I've had it once or twice before where I'm like, well, unfortunately, like they wanted pest and termite, right? And I'm like, unfortunately, I don't have the termite stations today. I've learned from this, by the way. Even if I don't have the termite stations, still do the pest control. Get everything signed, get paid. That way this doesn't happen. But I've had it before where this happened. I was able to do pest control, but I didn't have the termite. My dumb ass just said, oh, no. Like, I can't do it today, unfortunately, because I don't have the termite stations. But I can come out tomorrow or even the next day if you want. For their schedule, they were like, oh, the next day will work perfect. So it was going to be like 2 whole days. Sure enough, that morning came. I text them just, hey, just reminding you I'm going to be out this time. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I meant to tell you actually, so I go with someone else. Right? Worst feeling ever. There's no worse feeling than having a deal closed and then ripped out from under you. Because you start factoring that money in, right? Especially as a one-man show, you start factoring that money into your budget and, all this stuff. Inspection at no cost to you, right? All right, brother, I'm about to hit the, hey, great live today, be well. Yeah, no, you too, man. Yeah, we'll probably start wrapping this up soon. And of course, if y'all have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to shout them out. Like I mentioned earlier in the stream, these ones that are labeled Q&A specifically, that's exactly what they are. Q&A specifically. What's going on, Justin? Justin Countryman? How do you track your leads and customers? So it's a combination of things. We use Gorilla Desk, of course, for like overall CRM and everything. And the way that makes it easiest for us is we use Zapier, however it's pronounced. We use Zapier, and what happens is we set up Zaps where there's a couple, like I said, there's a couple ways. It's kind of a multi-step process. So what'll happen is we have a Zap set up where, let me actually pull up Zapier so I'm not misspeaking. Because like I said, I have like 2 or 3 of them active right now. So the first one, I'm just going to go one by one. So of course we use OpenPhone for like our quote unquote cell phone. I mean, it is a provider, but that's who we use for like answering service essentially. It's where when a customer calls in, it'll ring my phone, my wife's, our laptop. Like somebody's going to be answering that phone most of the time. So what'll happen is Zapier, as soon as a customer with formidable forms, so like I said, I'm going to just list every single one for you. When someone goes on our website and submits a form, that form gets put in to OpenPhone in terms of the contact information, customer name, email, phone number. That goes into OpenPhone immediately. So like we can call them up right then and there. Like no middle work in between, going to Gorilla Desk, grabbing the phone number, calling them, that kind of thing. Like it's right there ready to go. But at the same time, that is also going in to Gorilla Desk on top of that as a lead, which is our actual CRM, if that makes sense. So those two things happen simultaneously to where, like I said, there's no real middle work. It's just a matter of tracking within Gorilla Desk. That is then entered in as a lead. So then, so then whenever, we call the customer up, text them, whatever the case may be, or the lead, right? Say it sells, we'll go ahead and turn that lead into an active customer. And then, you just go from there, right? And the cool thing about Gorilla Desk too is once you turn it into an active customer on your lead report, right? That customer will still pop up under a lead for, December 23, right? So that's how we do that for like website, like form inquiries. And then with phone calls, it's kind of a 2-part thing, similar to the whole form thing. So what'll happen is we use CallRail for the actual marketing, tracking, call recording, all that type of stuff. And what'll happen is as soon as a phone call ends, or for some reason it isn't picked up, whatever the case may be, as soon as the incoming call ends from a potential customer, CallRail will take the information. Usually there's a first name, last name. Sometimes the name isn't right. It's not a big deal, but it'll take a first name, last name, and the phone number. Same thing. It'll send it to Gorilla Desk as a lead. So then it's put in Gorilla Desk leads. And then it's, of course, because the call came in through OpenPhone to begin with as well, because they're connected, that information, that name, first and last, will get tagged to the contact information, if that makes sense, with an OpenPhone. Probably a good video idea in all honesty for me to like do a screen share and actually show you guys how I set these up. These Zapier, they call them Zaps. It's free to do. It doesn't take, it's not really complicated. Some people think it's like doing code. It's not like doing code at all. I mean, it's super easy. I bet my 4-year-old could do it if I showed her how to do one of them. Like, it's really not that complicated. Where it gets complicated is if you start doing like webhooks and things like that. That is, you're kind of starting to get more into code. But setting up simple zaps between one application to another, it's very, very easy to do. Matter of fact, little tip, that's how a lot of these BS AI virtual assistant companies are popping up left and right. They're just using a company, I forget what that company's called. Let me look it up real quick. Or no, it's right here actually. So they're using a combination of ChatGPT 3, Dolly, Whisper, along with Lead Connector. Lead Connector is the other one. And then, of course, pairing it in with, either Google Calendar, whatever the case may be. And then there's some things that go into it, of course, but it turns it into a virtual assistant for you. And they'll try to sell it to you for ridiculous pricing, and it's crazy. It's highway robbery, to be honest. But hopefully that kind of answers that question. That's a good question, actually, because, I don't think I've ever gotten that question before, like how to track them. And yeah, in terms of that, once you pull up your Gorilla Desk, if you use Gorilla Desk, that is, you just go into your Leads tab within your dashboard, go into Leads. You can see month to month, like a graph of how many leads you've had. You can see what leads have been turned into active customers, what leads haven't been, so if you want to follow up with those or send out a marketing follow-up, like an email marketing campaign for follow-ups. You can make a CSV file, plug it into like what's it called, MailChimp, whatever it's called, or whatever you use, and send out, the outreach campaign or whatever you want to call it. So no, it definitely makes it easier to keep track of all of that, especially using Zapier. Not using Zapier, man, it'd be a pain in the butt. You pretty much would have to like hand enter everything, and let's be real, who's got time for that? Especially when you're still kind of like a 1 or 2 man operation to be entering in everything like that. But yeah, no, that was a good question. Trying to see if there was anything else here. Yeah, no. If y'all don't have any more questions this evening, I guess this will be a perfect time to wrap up. It's right at midnight on the dot here in the Dallas, Texas area. Thanks. Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, no, I appreciate you tuning in. And hopefully as well, hopefully you guys have been enjoying the stream. If you did, and if you took any value from it, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button. It lets me know that you guys, appreciate and took something away from tonight's stream. Or if you're seeing it after it goes from a stream to a video, then of course video. And it helps other people to, find the channel, find the content, all that good stuff. If you're not subscribed as well, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It'll help you out as well, of course, because if you subscribe, hit the bell icon, that whole drill where, you'll be notified when we go live, upload other videos. And for those of you that prefer like audio format specifically, I've been trying to upload on the podcast more frequently recently. Like this past week, we uploaded 2 new episodes on the podcast. I have a link to, I believe, Spotify specifically in my LinkTree down below. So if you're a Spotify user and you want to, follow the podcast as well, we do post exclusive content on the podcast as well. Like it's not just YouTube content put on the podcast or anything. There is some YouTube content that is, posted on there as well, but there's also a lot of like podcast exclusive stuff. And if you're not a Spotify user, it's on there's podcasting platforms that I didn't even know existed that it's on. So any platform that you use, it'll be on. You just type in real life entrepreneurship with Griffin Thomas. And thanks, Griffin. No, thanks for tuning in as always. Tropical Fruit Loops. I'm trying to remember to bring up the podcast a little bit more and more just because I know a lot of people prefer the audio experience, like not necessarily having to watch video. Not everybody, I forget not everybody has like YouTube Premium. I love YouTube Premium, man. Like I love the fact that I can lock my screen and listen to videos pretty much like a podcast, right? But a lot of people just stick to, Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts, all that stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to bring that up more. That way, people that want to listen to that have that as well. And then, like I said, not to mention there is exclusive content over there as well. So appreciate you all tuning in as always. Like I said, as always, if you have any questions after the stream ends, don't hesitate to shout it out in the comments below the video. I appreciate you all tuning in as always. Stay blessed. Have a blessed Sunday tomorrow. Hopefully you all rest up, get some good rest before the new week begins. Hopefully you're not too stressed about the holidays and whatnot. If you all ever need anything or have any questions or want to schedule, a one-on-one or anything like that, go over to griffinbthomas.com. Otherwise, I'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy, everybody.